Welcome to Spark Faith with me, Dr. Kris Sargent. This show is about renewed health, rooted in truth, and restored by grace. What does finding health look like for you? Do you have a vision for your future self and a way to get there? I'm Dr. Kris, and after 33 years in functional medicine and a lifelong journey through brain health, weight loss, hormones, mindset, and faith, I know that real transformation doesn't come from willpower or white knuckling your way to wellness. It comes from gratitude. Honoring your body as the temple that God created. This show is about body stewardship, not shame. It's about rewiring your mindset, your metabolism, and your spirit to find lasting health without the grind. I'll help you cut through the noise, see opportunities instead of obstacles, and finally live the healthy, purposeful life you were created for. Let's spark faith and transformation together. Spark Faith starts now. Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Spark Faith Show. And I am Dr. Kris Sargent, and we've got a pretty cool show today. This is one that has just sort of blown up for me, and people think it's crazy, but we have been told so many things about oatmeal, right? Like this rando food, but we've been told that oatmeal is a perfect breakfast. And for some people, that may be true. However, for a lot of us, and about over 50% of the population who's looking at or facing some blood sugar challenges, particularly perimenopausal and postmenopausal females, ladies, you actually may be sabotaging your metabolism with oatmeal. I know you're worried about your heart health, and oatmeal is not really what it's all cracked up to be. So we are going to talk about that. Last week, we talked about menopause metabolism, and we kind of touched on how insulin and carbohydrates work together and how estrogen has an impact on that. And this is just a little bit of a continuation. So we're going to dive into some functional medicine and a little bit of science. And, I've started the series called Whole Body Transformation about the next 10 or 12 weeks. And we're going to combine functional medicine, some mindset renewal. We were really focusing in on Romans and faith to help y'all live fully. And I'm going to touch on some holiday tips to get you through kind of this rough, weird period between eating Halloween candy and drinking way too much maybe on New Year's Eve, and how to get through all the food challenges through all that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And first of all, I always want to start with truth and transformation, not anything about shame or fear or guilt. So set those things aside, because we aren't going to do that. And we are going to talk about the surprising science behind why oatmeal can really slow down your metabolism, particularly over 40. I will have a free guide, a companion guide, a free resource for you called the Breakfast Metabolism Fix. So we can change your breakfast to increase your metabolism through the day. And we talked a little bit about muscle being metabolism, and we are going to stay on that trend and how we can get better muscle tissue. But first, we need to talk about the science behind healthy carbs and not so healthy carbs, right? So there's this myth about oatmeal that oatmeal is heart healthy. It's supposed to have fiber, but actually it only contains about 3 grams. You can get way more from most of your vegetables, frankly. It is supposed to be energy boosting, and we're going to talk about why you may crash and burn after you eat oatmeal. And it is low fat. However, we also know that fat and protein slow down carbohydrate or glucose release into the bloodstream. So with all of that in mind, let's start with the glycemic index. You may not know what that is, so hang with me for just a second. The glycemic index is a measure of how quickly your food raises your blood sugar levels, right? After you eat. So, foods with high glycemic index, like oatmeal, cereals, pasta, bread, all those fun things, right? Baked goods, cookies, those kind of things, anything with extra sugar can cause a very fast spike in your blood sugar, which is followed by a fast spike in your insulin. We have to be careful with that, right? Foods with lower glycemic index are any of your animal proteins like eggs and nuts and beef and chicken, all those fish, and non-starchy vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, zucchini, salads, those kind of things, right? Those things with more fiber, fat, or protein are going to keep your blood sugar much more stable. The higher the glycemic index, the faster your body is going to store fat in all the places that you don't like it to be stored. And you will feel hungry sooner because it's going to spike and then it's going to drop really, really fast. So here's a way to think of high glycemic foods, right? They are basically like a cheap pair of shoes, right? You buy these great looking shoes, all right? And then you put them on and you're like, oh, they might be a little uncomfy, but they're fine. Hello, halfway through the day, you're like, why did I buy these shoes? And the heel falls off, right? So that's basically like your high glycemic carbs, right? They look great, but they wear out fast. So think about insulin like the storage switch. So every time you turn it on, right, your body is going to start storing fat, not burning it. So we get these blood sugar spikes. Insulin rushes in to push all that sugar into your cell, but then your sugar drops fast. And if you don't burn some of that sugar off, it's going to shift to triglycerides, cholesterol, and cause other issues down the road. And it's also going to get stored in your favorite places, right? But as that sugar drops fast, you feel fatigued. That is the 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock drop, or the 2 to 4 drop in the afternoon after you've eaten lunch. You can get irritable. It's like the cookie cravings, the I need something in the afternoon, and you just grab some more carbs and you just start this whole thing. Steel cut oats really aren't that much better. They do have a little bit lower glycemic index, but really they're going to have the same exact hormonal impact when they're eaten alone. So it's not always just what you eat, but what you pair it with, right? So oatmeal and insulin resistance, right? Women over 40, you can go back to my episode from last week to find out all of that stuff. But just know that you are going to be more prone to insulin resistance, particularly over 40. And so when you do this in the beginning of your day, obviously you're going to set yourself up for these spikes and crashes all day. This also is going to create more cortisol, particularly when your blood sugar is low. It's going to start breaking down your muscle mass. Dang it. This is like exactly not what you want, right? So anytime you add sugar on top, the blood sugar roller coaster and mid-afternoon crashes are just going to increase your cortisol. There's also, if you have a low thyroid or hypothyroid or Hashimoto's or any of those kind of things, and you add a high insulin to this, you are going to get an even more sluggish metabolism. So you're just not doing yourself any favors at this point. So perimenopause also shifts muscle mass, right? We don't maintain it as well. We lose it faster. And so then we also have less carbohydrate tolerance. All right. So what you eat first sets the tone for your hormones for the entire day. So what you eat first sets the tone for your entire hormonal day. So this isn't your fault, right? This is just your biology doing its best to adapt to these changes that you're making, or that, that your body is making at this time. So I'm going to switch gears for half a second here. Don't lose me. Don't you lose me. Yeah, whatever. Mm. Your body is really a temple. And I'd really like to start talking about stewardship. And I know that's kind of a weird word because stewardship isn't about perfection. It's really about treating something that's on loan to you in the best way possible. If you borrow a sweater from a girlfriend, you're going to make sure that your dog doesn't put a hole in it, right? And I've had an entire morning of cat versus dog. So that was just on my mind. But anyway, you're going to take really good care of that because you borrowed it. Well, in my belief system, our bodies are just on loan to us from God. He made them to house His Holy Spirit. So when we can take care of our body, our temple in a better way, that's called stewardship. And it's respect for our body. It's about believing that you're worth it, right? If you're not in the Christian frame of mind, how about just self-worth and self-gratitude and self-care? So think about this as stewardship is self-care in the best way, deepest way possible, and finding gratitude for the bodies that we have as we have it, right? So when we learn how our bodies work, we can really honor our creator who designed them. So we're going to talk about as we balance our blood sugar, realize that it supports calm and focus and an even deeper spiritual connection because our cortisol levels are down. We will get better sleep and we will have better energy when our brains are fueled properly. So, taking care of your body is really just a thank you, right, to our creator. So I want to run through some common myths and probably some emotional attachments because we all have them, right? Especially when we come to food. And you may be thinking, but I've been eating oatmeal for years and you love it. And there's some nostalgia maybe with it. Maybe it was something that your mom made for you. Or maybe you just, I'm having to break up some thoughts in your brain that, oh, wait a minute, I really thought that this was good for me. So we have to take a look at that emotional comfort in our food and how that may or may not be serving us right now, right? And marketing is paid for, right? So this heart healthy, whole grain, low fat stuff is all paid for. And these foods are highly marketed. You don't see the vegetable industry having to tell you that vegetables and lean protein are good for you, right? So this is how the food industry versus metabolism and how this confusion can keep you stuck. And let me tell you, right? We're back to Romans 12:2. We really want to renew our mind and think about how we need to renew our mind around our nutrition. And really understanding the science and the biology helps that transformation begin with understanding the truth about our biology. And I want you to also think about this guilt thing that you have going on. You're not a bad person. You're not a bad Christian. You are not a failure because of your food choices, right? God invites us into transformation, not condemnation, right? God invites transformation, not condemnation. So let's get curious. Let's do an experiment with oatmeal versus something else. And we're going to talk about what to eat instead. Let's learn. Let's pay attention. Let's have a little bit greater self-awareness around what's happening in our body and when am I getting sleepy and what did I just eat? And this is a question that has been part of my life when I don't feel good. Okay, what did I eat? How do I correlate that with what I've done? And again, not to create guilt, but to get curious to create that transformation that I know you're looking for, right? Not this willpower working through. No, that is not going to work for you. So, what do we eat instead? right? I'm going to give you that free guide at the end, and that's going to really outline everything that we talk about. Think protein first and healthy fats, and then some complex carbohydrates if you need them. And protein stabilizes our blood sugar, just like we talked about before. It is slower to metabolize in our bellies. It therefore creates a cushion between the carbs that we eat. And it also supports lean muscle mass, which is your metabolism at work, right? And we really need that muscle metabolism. So let's think about it. How quickly can you throw a couple of eggs, some spinach, a little bit of avocado, and some, I don't know, maybe some sunflower seeds or some chia seeds on top for a little crunch and a little bit? How quickly can you do that in the morning? I know you're sitting there like, I don't have time to do this in the morning. How about grabbing some Greek yogurt, throwing in a couple tablespoons of chia seeds and some nuts, right? Maybe with half a cup of strawberries or something like that. That way you get a little bit of carb, lots of protein, lots of flavor, and lots of fiber, right? And these are the things that are going to go slow in. Smoothies are a whole show. However, because my estimation is that we tend to put in way more than we would just normally eat on our own, right? You put in a whole apple, 5 carrots, a peach, a banana. But if you sat down to eat all that, like you would never do that. So let's think about protein powder, some greens, maybe some almond butter or peanut butter, some nuts, some fiber, something like that, some chia seeds, something like that. And that way you will help to start teaching your body to burn fat instead of sugar. And your energy and your brain and everything will come back online as you do that, right? And then you start to feel hope. Oh, wow, I can do this. And it still can taste good and it can still be fast in the morning. So, you know what? The 3 p.m. slump that you may have, or the 10 a.m. slump that you may have, can be gone. Your sugar cravings can go away. I know this is a huge thing for us, right? Us women, we're like, sugar. So your sugar cravings can go on, and you can get a much more steady weight loss. And you still have to you still got to work out and move your body a little bit. Like I said, if you're not moving your body, just start with 5 minutes a day of walking. If you're already moving your body, what else can you do? What else can you put in? Can you add some weights to whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're walking or if you're already lifting, can you add a little bit to that? Not a lot, but a little. We'll talk about that in another show too. And then like I said, I've got a great free step-by-step guide that will go through pretty much everything that we've talked about this morning. And so you can grab that, but that will help you I've got some more breakfast ideas on there, and that will help you out a little bit. So let's recap some of what we've talked about. Oatmeal in itself is not evil. It's how much are you going to eat? I believe that we need to take about a quarter of our normal serving, right? When I make oatmeal, I make a quarter cup of dry oatmeal and I add a tablespoon or two of chia seeds and some flax seeds. And I pair it with a couple of eggs, even if they're hard-boiled eggs. That can be really, really fast. You can throw some protein powder in it. So there's still a way that you can get your comfort food in a different way, right? So you don't have to give it up. It's just really mismatched when we eat it the way we've been eating it with brown sugar and bananas, which are full of sugar, by the way. We can talk about that on another time too. Worst fruit that anybody who's trying to stabilize their blood sugar, it's the worst fruit you can eat. Yes, it has potassium. There are other ways to get that. So it's oatmeal in and of itself, the way we've been eating is just mismatched for our current metabolism or midlife metabolism, right? So start your day with protein, right? This helps you align your hormones. Like I said earlier, it sets the tone for your hormones for your day. And you will have less cravings almost immediately within a couple of days, as what my experience has been. And that really aligns better with the way that God designed our metabolism. And this whole stewardship idea and science can really work together for you, right? We talked about that, I think, a couple shows ago, that God really works in these ways to work for you. And we have to just shift that mindset just a tiny bit in order to let that happen. So I really want to encourage you today. You can retrain your metabolism and your mind, right? With a little curiosity, some self-awareness around what you need to do for yourself. And you can work with your body. Your body doesn't have to work against you. It is not betraying you, right? We'll have that quick start guide, that breakfast metabolism fix for you. I love to have mm, I love to have something that you can take home and look over, and then you don't have to feel like you're like hanging out there by yourself. And of course, I will offer a free consultation. So you can click on that too. And I'm just going to tell you that our upcoming shows are going to be like balancing your hormones without losing your mind, and why you're tired, even when you feel like you're getting enough sleep. So we will have a whole bunch of these kind of things that will work into this idea. In terms of tips for the holidays, if you end up at a holiday party and Thanksgiving is right around the corner right now, think protein first. Think protein first. And wherever you can find it, even if it's in a meatball or cheese or what you think is not healthy, try to work through that first. And then find your veggies if you can, or bring the veggies if you're going to a party, right? You can bring that. Super easy. You don't even have to do anything. You can just go buy them. And so there's ways that you can get through holidays and holiday parties in a healthier way that's going to leave you feeling refreshed and not like a big food hangover the next day. That is the worst, right? Those food hangovers, oof, they're as bad as an alcohol hangover. And if you add alcohol to all the bad food, you're going to feel terrible the next day. And that's what creates that bloaty feel and that sluggish feel. So we're going to continue to talk about these things. I am so excited to be here every week. This is such a privilege to be able to talk to you and just help you understand how functional medicine and faith and grace for yourself and self-worth all can really work together so that you can be healthier, and we can really create these whole body transformations just one step at a time. It doesn't have to be everything all at once. We can just take this step by step. And you don't have to clean out your fridge. You don't have to clean out your pantry as I'm sitting here in my kitchen. You don't have to do all that right now. Let's work with breakfast, right? Let's work with our water, like I talked about last time. Let's work with moving our body in a way that we haven't done before. And let's work with some self-awareness around, hey, what did I eat and how am I feeling? And when you start to feel those slumps, you can look back and say, wow, what did I eat? And that gives you the next step. And I'm going to tell you a little tip here that I learned a long time ago. You are only one meal away to getting your hormones back on track. It is so easy to go into the office or whatever and grab the donut or the muffin or whatever that's fast and easy granola bar. And you're like, I have screwed up my whole day. You don't have to screw up your whole day. Your hormones can get back on track with your next meal. I know, right? The next time you grab that donut or whatever you think isn't great in the morning because you didn't grab protein, just make sure that the next time you grab for something that it's protein. It will help it will help you start managing your hormone right then, right? You won't have that spike in the afternoon. Start start looking for protein in places that maybe you didn't know that it was available. So let's not get in that mindset of, oh, I screwed up here, so I'm just going to blow it for the whole day. That is not how your body works. You can literally retrain your hormones to get back on track at your next meal. So again, I'm super excited to be here. I want you renewed health. I want you rooted in truth and restored by grace. Thank you all so much. I'm Dr. Kris Sargent, and I will see you next week. You've been listening to Spark Faith with me, Dr. Kris Sargent. This show is about renewed health, rooted in truth, and restored by grace. Tune in every Thursday morning at 9:30 a.m. Pacific on the Transformation Talk Radio for more simple, faith-fueled steps to live the vision God placed in your heart. Are you ready to take the next step? Schedule a discovery call or connect with me at drkrissargent.com. That's DRKRIS Sargent.com. While you're there, download my free ebook, Endless Energy, the 6 non-negotiable keys to endless energy, and sign up for an upcoming masterclass. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share the show, and I'd love to connect with you on social media at Dr. Kris Sargent. Let's keep sparking faith and transformation together. Can't wait to see y'all next time.